As I'm recording this, the Carolina Hurricanes look like they're ready to knock off the Nashville Predators. 4-1. Wear those black jerseys every game. That being said, they sit at 47 points coming into today. They are 5 points out of the playoffs. Not only that, but Buffalo right now sits outside the playoffs. They've played 2 extra games. Have they above I believe it's the New York Islanders they're chasing? Yep. They've played 2 more games, and they've got 2 less regulation or overtime wins than the Islanders. It's a challenge for them. They've played 1 less game than Montreal. They are 1 point back of Montreal. But again, on the tiebreaker of regulation and overtime wins, Montreal has the advantage. Buffalo, though, has 52 points. They have more points than does Dallas in the West. Dallas is sitting with 50 points. So Buffalo in the West would be the 6th highest team in the conference. 50 points for Dallas. They're 5-4-1 in their last 10. So in the red, that's the team's records in their last 10. In pink, I've done the goal differential, plus or negative, because plus, negative goal differential kind of shows us who's strongest. For instance, right now winning 4-1, if that held up, then their goal differential in Carolina would only be a -7, considering where it was a few weeks ago. That's pretty solid. They're 21-18-5 overall for 47 points. This is the record in December. This is the record in January. Because I want to look at it over a longer period than just, well, look at the last week. These teams all suck. Over December, Carolina was 4-8-1. January, they've been trying to dig their way out of that. They're 5-1 coming into today in this game against the Nashville Predators. The Dallas Stars are 5-4-1 in their last 10. Their goal differential is -1. They sit at 23-19-4 overall, 50 points. 7-6-1 in December, and 3-3 in January. So they have been better than Buffalo. They have, when you look at on the face of it, 9-9-1, 10-9-1 here. Dallas has 2 more points in 1 extra game played, but Carolina's making up for that right now. So, and with Saros taking the net now. So there you go. I think, did they just make it 5-1? Wow. Okay. It's interesting. It's fun watching these Carolina Hurricanes right now. This is the way that if they'd played this way all year, anyway, doesn't matter. They wouldn't be on this board if they'd played this way all year. Colorado 1-7-2 over their last 10. They still have a positive goal differential of +7. They're 20-17-8 overall, but if you look at their record with those 48 points, 4-7-3 in December, 1-4 in January. They are limping badly. Minnesota Wild, they're 22-19-3. They're 47 points. They have a positive negative differential of -1. 5-4-1 in their last 10. They were 4-8-1 in December, and they've been 4-2 in January. So they've been better in January, but remember their last game was a loss against the Red Wings. And of course, Anaheim, and this is why we notice. Anaheim 0-7-3 in their last 10. -27 goal differential. That goal differential tells me Anaheim's going nowhere. 19-18-8 overall, 46 points. They're 1 point out of the playoffs. 6-5-2 over December, 0-3-1 in January. So overall, they're 6-8-3 over the last month and a bit, which isn't bad. But when you look at their last 10, it's shocking that they're still in a playoff race. The Oilers are 3-7 in their last 10. They have a goal differential of -18. 21-21-3 overall, 45 points. 6-7-1 in December, 3-3 in January. So they're treading water, which means they're still in the race. They're only 2 points out of the playoffs. 2. That's it. Now, the odds of them making the playoffs, in my eyes, are slight. They've played 1 more game than has the Minnesota Wild, but we'll see, right? Now, over here, you got Vancouver, who's sitting 11th in the conference, but they're only 2 points out of the playoffs. They're 20-21-5. They had an 8-5-1 December, a 1-2-1 January. Stop taking road trips back east, and you might have a chance if you're Vancouver. The good news is they've had 2 major road trips back east. That should be it for the year, I would think. And really, honestly, their -16 goal differential is better than both the Oilers and the Ducks. And when you look at it, and you look at their schedule from here, yeah, they could end up sliding into that number 8 spot. which for Canuck fans that want to see Jack Hughes or Kakko as members of the Vancouver Canucks, it's bad news because that means no lottery pick for the Canucks. On the upside, it would mean no lottery pick for the Canucks, but there would also be a lot of fans in the East who wouldn't be happy because whoever finishes ninth is going to end up with a lot more points in all likelihood than the team that finishes as high as sixth in the West. Arizona 6-3-1, -8 goal differential, 20-21-3, 43 points. They're now only 4 points out of the playoffs. 4. That 6-3-1 record definitely helps. 6-9 in their in December, 3-1-1 in January. So their play is improving. Now, their quality of opponent hasn't been fantastic, but when you're winning games, it doesn't really matter. And you're winning games against teams you're trying to catch, which is what they've been doing. For instance, last night, they've drew within 2 points now of the Oilers with 1 game in hand. St. Louis, 6-4 in their last 10, a goal differential of -13. They're 19-20-4. They're 6-6-1 in their in December, 4-2 in January, 42 points overall. They're only 5 points out of the playoffs. 5. That's it. That's not very much. Remember, we're talking about these guys in Carolina, and they're 5 points out of the playoffs. And we kind of look at it like, well, maybe they'll get back in. So St. Louis, maybe they shouldn't sell after all. Maybe they should be buying in St. Louis. If it's some kind of a chemistry issue related to players that were picked up in the offseason, maybe there's somebody that's held over from previous administrations that you could just sort of shift out. Whatever way you want to look at it, St. Louis may very well be in the buying market. Even though last night on Hockey Night in Canada, they said there's going to be a lot of sellers. We'll see. Because the West is really wide open. Chicago's 4-3-3 in their last 10. Their goal differential is -34. 16-22-9, 41 points. They're only 6 points out of the playoffs. They were 6-8-1 in December, 1-2-3 in January. They have played against a lot of the better teams in the league. They have held their own, and I knew when I posted the power rankings last night. I thought people are going to get mad at me about how high up Chicago is. The funny thing is, at the start of the year, Hawks fans were mad at me about how low I had the Blackhawks, even though they were 3-0-2 early in the year. I'm telling you, these guys are playing some solid hockey. And looking at the standings, and looking at the fact they've just played through a horrible stretch of all the best teams in the league, don't count them out. If Delia can keep giving them the kind of goaltending they've been getting, don't count them out. The Kings, 5-5. -31 goal differential. 18-25-3 is their record. 7-5-2 in December. 2-4 in January. 39 points. Well, 39 points can't get you anywhere near the playoffs. Or can it? That's right. They're 7 games below 500. They are 8 points out of the playoffs. And to me, if you're anything less than 10 points out, up until about February, you can go on a run and end up making the playoffs. It's highly unlikely. It's very, very, very rare, but it can happen. And it's really interesting to me to look at this because, again, nobody in the West looks like they're truly out of it because of the mediocrity that's been going on here. Because these teams look so flawed, and I say that as a Dallas fan, to me the team looks very flawed. And Colorado, they have that one line, and when the depth scoring doesn't show up, it just exposes it. And when the goaltending isn't very good, that doesn't help either. And yet, they're in an excellent position to make the playoffs. Because think about this, over their last 10, they've had 4 points. That's fine. The Oilers have had 6. The Ducks have had 3. The Canucks have had 9. It's a sad, sad race in the West, and it's going to cause people in the East to rail. But the reason I'm showing the standings up to 6th is this. Because people will say, well, they should do 1 versus 16 and blah, blah, blah. Buffalo's 14th overall in the league. So there's more to it than that, and then you have to do a balanced schedule where teams play against each other the same number of times. And that, with 31 teams, really difficult, because then you kind of have to play a 90-game schedule to make that work. If you're going to do 1 versus 8, awesome. What I have on the board here is 6, 7, and 8. So Team 6 They would face the number 3 rated team in the West. Not as solid a record as Buffalo, who have 52 points. Now, I do include Buffalo 4-6-3 in December, 2-3 in January. They're trending down. By season's end, we may very well see where the West pulls itself up, or at the very least, the East falls back. But for right now, it's a little dicey. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Which one of these teams could end up getting on a hot streak and end up making the playoffs? Who's going to end up being those final 3 teams in the playoffs? Because I am not letting Dallas off the hook. They are only 4 points ahead of an Anaheim team that's missed a win in its last 10 games. They are only 5 points ahead of the Oilers and the Canucks. And yeah, it's been, when they should be moving way up and playing really well. And yeah, the West is a bit of a gong show right now. So let me know your picks. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video, and this will be really interesting to look at come season's end. I'll talk to you again soon.